Is it quiet in here? Or is it just me?
It's just quiet.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Happy AMA. Sorry you came into a silent room. It is
Good
not
morning.
our audio that's broken. It's the people. Um, yeah, how's everybody doing today?
People are broken? What? What did I hear?
Woo, hear you, Peanut. Welcome, Willow. Good to have you back. It's also Mysterious Leak now. Doing good, and other cool leaks. Welcome, Dash. Hey, Ed. Oh, spooky windmill announcement went out. I see. Yes, it is starting, Lazy Lumberjack. I don't know if you're on here. I'll reply in chat. All right. Well, yeah, good morning to all you. The team has been hard at work over the last week. So much going on. It's exciting, it's fun, it's crazy. But we are excited for this AMA. We're excited to have you here. It's always a lot of fun. And I think today, yeah, it looks like we have Farmer Michelle, SageMaker, Mal, Volcron on stage, Pablo. So yeah, excited for the AMA today. I've asked that the team not leak anything today, so just don't expect much.
No leaks at all? How are we going to manage that?
Just kidding. Nobody would listen to me anyways. It's impossible. I'm actually surprised nobody's kicked me off stage or muted me yet.
I don't know if we have the power to do that.
Oh, good. Definitely talk about things we aren't going to leak. That's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morning, KM.
Is everybody here? Do we want to get started?
I think we're probably ready to get started. Looks like, let's see how many people are in this AMA.
Go ahead, guys. Let's get rolling.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, it's been an awesome week. Everybody's been making their red steel for the second competition in a row. Hopefully people are doing better this time around. They learned a little bit from the first one. I know this was a little bit different since stars were used as currency this time, so a lot of people were upgrading their loggers and watching their stars fall, which was fun to see in chat. People seem to like it a lot, though. Definitely keep letting us know how you felt about it. I'm sure Mal would love to hear all the feedback. Let's see here. Next game update is on Monday, and I think it's going to have the new meta in it, which I'm sure Mal's going to talk about later today. And our update this week, I think, was mostly just the new NFTs. Let me find it here. There it is. Yep. Cake Storage NFT, Gala Master Ghost card was sent out to everybody. And that was really about it. Fall theme was finally removed. I know some people were excited to see that. It's nice to see the town green again. Spring is coming. And that's about all I've got for the live game.
Sweet. You want to jump into the Godot updates?
Go for it.
All right. Let's see. So had from our perspective, a very successful playtest. Keeping our eyes on the servers and looking for errors and things like that was awesome because the errors that we did see were things that we know about. Several of them have been fixed since then, and happy to see the feedback from people. We took some of your screenshots from some of the nice things people were saying, and so now you know your names have been thrown around. Your Discord names have been shown in company meetings in terms of the nice things you said about the playtest. So that's always fun, and I hope everybody enjoyed the top secret hand-drawn list. I thought that was the coolest thing that this team has done as far as getting those people on the allow list. So yeah, one of the so since the playtest, since we flipped the switch and made it publicly accessible for everybody on the allow list, since then, of course, there's been feedback. Thank you so much, everybody who's been filing bug reports, working with our people on that, and we fixed a lot of that. We fixed some trade animations, implemented those. All this will be going out. It's in stage now, so we're thinking we're going to push it out today if everything goes well. So it'll be trade animations, auto trade for multiple depots, green dragon fix, won't require gasoline. There's a couple fixes to the workers, and then fixes to their, I don't know if anybody noticed, there was a momentary kind of an FPS glitch when you would remove marshes and ponds. That's some of the stuff that's going out. And then we did a Android proof of concept app. Who has opinions? Throw them in Discord on Android or iOS. While I'm going over my other stuff here. Let's see.
What kind of opinion? Like, should we do it? Or
Oh, just
did
yeah,
it?
like
Did you try it?
yeah, like if you have, if if you are privileged enough to have both types of devices in your life, what do you tend to play games on? Oh boy, it's a war. It's almost like back and forth, Android, iOS, Android, iOS. Interesting. Okay. Do you like money and success? Yes, Willow. Oh my gosh, all those iOSs coming in. Well, that's great. Cool. Okay, so the Android proof of concept went super well. I'm curious if anybody tried playing the game from their mobile devices. I know one person did an iPad, another person did, I think, an iPhone 12, but I haven't looked into our stats to see what y'all have been accessing it through. Raw NLO, have you tried the Godot port in iOS though? Coinman did iPhone 11. Okay. All right. So our process is take the last release and add fixes and stuff to it, everything we've worked on in the time since, and then push it out. We are going for push it out as soon as it's ready, rather than kind of, and maybe SageMaker could speak to this a bit, but rather than saying the release will happen on such and such cadence, we're planning on doing it like the release will happen when it's ready, which will probably be much sooner than that cadence. So
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Okay.
Just to share a note on that, get a little more clarity. In the past, the team, you've seen it with Townstar Live, has gone on weekly cadences. And one of the things I know with this new continuous integration and deployment process we've talked about so much in the past is that we have the option when we have a smaller list of items or bug fixes, we have the option to release it more frequently than once a week. And so that's what we'll be doing. It'll also help us kind of test and build our own internal muscle on, if we do a release in the future, if it has a big thing, a big feature in it, and it has a bug, we want to be able to be nimble and quick enough to respond right away and get that bug fixed. So it's more of, I would have to say, it's more of a web to game, social game release process than maybe mobile and or AAA console release processes, where we want to try to get things done and out in the player's hand as quickly as possible. So we're going to be doing that, but it's going to take a beat to work up to that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our system back here is good. So, all right. Well, I'm probably not going to leak all of the incoming changes other than fixes and stuff. You'll see things like small things. These aren't really leaks. Just things like delaying the music till after the message of the day is closed. Some proximity effects fixes. A couple auto trade bugs were fixed, and then we might pull in the production monitor on the next release. And the big one, though, is the fast forward, which will be when you log in. This is the one that's in test right now, that your town will continue to run in the background. So when you close your browser tab or whatever, wait a couple hours, log back in, your town will fast forward as if you had been watching it run that whole time. So That's the big one. That's under test right now. I hope people are excited about that. Yeah, FF Willow. And that is our update since last week.
Wait, we got
Oh,
one big sort of question / elephant in the room. We've seen a lot of feedback and notes from people on precision placement, lack of grid, kind of tricky to get things lined up.
yes.
Um, what can you share a little bit of notes about that, Jason?
Sure. Um, I think there was some feedback about the visuals on it. Maybe the dots that we came up with, the lines were a little too faint or something. It's currently being worked on. But the snap to, my understanding is the people testing it, the snap to is kind of a big hit, and it is currently being tested. So as far as we know, it's code complete and going through the tests right now.
Woohoo! I
Yeah,
know a
pretty
lot of people
exciting
are
stuff.
looking forward to that, and there's as expected, a lot of controversy around it. And so we'll give it another shot there as put it in the hands of testers, get another round of feedback. It is a big change, so we, or I at least, totally expect a lot of feedback and notes from the community on it. So thank you guys, everybody who shared it, including the people who weren't really happy with it as it was, because that just kind of reemphasized what we kind of already knew and we're already working on.
There was one question from Lonely Island when expanded playtest. So what what we put live in front of everybody met the hardware expectations that we had set, which is good because there were no requirements. But we do want to make our servers a little better first. So I don't have a date for you. I just want to let you know that it's not like we are artificially saying, haha, you'll never see it or anything like that. There's a couple things we need to do first before we want to support a larger number of people. It's on the server side. So hope that answers your question. Should be it for Godot unless there's other questions.
Looks like Boney Chill indirectly is wondering when the new art and graphics and stuff will be in. Do we want to talk about that at all?
I'll jump in there. Yeah, we're still on track. And we may have a guest on our stage. Yeah, we do. Gina Bina is on stage. Gina's our art lead, so I'll let her share a little bit in a moment about some of the work she's been doing in the last week. But at a macro level, we're at the point of now, we're pretty close to have the recipe that we call it for the new pieces of art and the update. And the next step will be go through and get concept sketches, make sure we're on track with that, and then do this massive modeling push. We're also putting art into the game to test it to make sure that it actually works. And the process that I have in mind is rather than just trickle it all out, we're not going to overtax ourselves as a team. We'll let all the Godot changes, bug fixes, and features get in, and then at least release in chunks, major upgrade chunks or update chunks of art, if not just do the full art switch over in one big release. So, but that's still, we're probably 30 to 4 weeks to 6 weeks away from having that completed, and we'll have to see how the staff we have that's going to do the massive modeling push of all the new art. We'll have to see how they actually hit their targets or not. Gina, do you want to share a little bit about things you've been working on? Did you have? Let me share up some stuff while you're talking about some of the stuff we've been looking at in the last week.
Okay,
I'll go ahead and put it in there. You can talk. I'll stuff the pictures out.
sweet. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Gina. I'm the art lead on Townstar forever. And yeah, I've actually worked with Mark previously at Zynga about 1,000 years ago.
A
And
million years ago. If you
yeah, a
look
long
it up.
time ago. I don't want to make myself feel too old, but I'm getting up there. But yeah, I worked on Farmville and Cityville and a bunch of other unnamed projects. And yeah, so here I am following Mark and his vision for this game and how we can improve a lot of the visuals. So I don't know what else to say. I haven't had my first coffee yet.
There's a couple of images. Are you in Discord as well?
Oh no, I missed that. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So I'll tell you what I just shared up there. You know that sort of composite piece where you put all the new buildings that we use it to compare and
Yeah.
review, right? And then I shared the updated lumber mill, the cakery. So you can just talk about those images. You just look at Slack in our Slack and kind of tell people what you see and what you're thinking about those.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's actually, I mean, I could happily share the process from when I started, to where we're kind of getting to now. And, for building our recipe, like every creative artist, like I came in thinking, oh, we could totally just redo everything. But then, the game wouldn't be recognizable to the players. So I didn't want to take that away from anybody mistakenly. So Mark and I settled on staying true to the actual buildings as they are, but just adding in a couple layers of extra detail. I work really closely with our 3D lead. His name's Brian Warmack, and he's really awesome. And him and I talk daily, and we're always looking at ways to introduce more materials and more textures to the world, but without making it to where, when we do an update, you guys aren't going to know what the buildings are, and you're not going to recognize anything because I think it's really important to stay, focused on keeping the world how you see it and know it. So yeah, I'm trying to get my stuff to load so I can see what you shared.
Yeah, let's, I'll jump in while you're doing that. There's a question that came from Lazy Lumberjack. Will all these new graphics or new art make my PC cry? We talked about that before, actually. So, one of the things in the goal, which makes this a little trickier than if we were just start from scratch and make all new building shapes and sizes and everything, is we know that we want to keep the poly count low. We know we want to keep the texture complexity low. Because while we might be able to do a bunch of really cool new textures and heavier number of polys in this smaller map set, we also know that we're going to be growing the map size huge, right? And so having done this before a couple of times, I know start and keep your poly counts very, very conservative. And so definitely when you put this stuff in there, you're not going to see an explosion or a death of frame rate. And then, we'll be working as we go with creating new art to keep that same standard, but
Gotcha.
maybe newer, prettier, different looking things too.
Yeah, and that's something that Brian and I focus on a lot. I think it's really important when you come in and you're artistically building out like I don't want to say a new world because this world already exists, but an improved world is we are constantly trying to think of ways to reuse materials and textures across the buildings and the structures in a smart way so we can reuse that through 3D and it won't tank your performance. But at the same time, trying to find, technical tricks on how to recolor things, for example, so things still stand out and are different on their own, but they are all cohesive. So an example is like later today, I'm going to be painting out, brick wall textures and stone wall textures, and then think of ways to apply that to certain structures around the world. That way, we can reuse that painting and that texture a few times, and you're not just going to be loading structure after structure, and all the textures are different, all the colors are different. So, yeah, there's a lot of thought and planning that has to go behind doing it to where it visually looks awesome, but and cohesive, but it's not going to destroy your gameplay. So no
Yeah,
pressure,
you know
but
what?
some
That's cool that you bring that up because a lot of people don't have as much insight into, I don't know what to call it, the engineering or the technical issues about creating art that can run all over the place. So it was a great description. So everybody's reacting to the art. Lots of looks good.
oh
Like
awesome. Thank you.
like the
Yeah,
chimney.
I can't get it to load still. I it's it's pretty early here and we are in the middle of a snowstorm, so I'm sitting on the floor with my phone charging right now as I talk to you guys.
Jetty asked, "Can we get that window to turn lights on at night?"
Oh, that's a good question. Am I allowed to talk about that or no?
Yeah, I'm curious what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
I
Oh
love,
my god,
I
and this is
love
being
that answer.
recorded too. This is gonna be recorded too, so I'll be forever just in there giving away secret stuff. But yeah, no, this week actually is really exciting. I've been talking to some of our devs about the day-night cycle that we're testing and exploring. And I have been talking to Mark too, and have been doing possibly some exploratory paintings and aspirational images for the devs to show them how our game could look at nighttime with things lit up. So absolutely, I think it would be awesome to have all the buildings, with a warm glow, lit up. And then I've had some other ideas. This is where Mark has to keep me in check, because I usually just come at him with a shotgun of ideas of, oh my god, this would be so cool. But I think if we had some sort of like street lights or street lamps, and I don't want to say street lights like the city lights, but something a little more rustic and charming and cute that you guys can put out there. And as you place it on the world, you can have like, you could light up areas better. I think would be really fun. So that's all something that I'm exploring right now. And hopefully I can show you guys soon with Mark's approval. So
Yeah. So let's jump on it from kind of hit it from just a higher level thing. So we could just go add a bunch of lights to all the buildings and say, "Yay, lights on buildings." But what I found different or sort of more successful is to have targets, right? And so Gina is doing concept paintings or paint overs to go, hey, what would it look like if we added the glow to buildings, if we added these streetlights in there, and what would the streetlights actually look like, rather than just turning on a light and say, we're done. So we're getting a visual target, and checking the tech with the devs to find out what we can actually do, and then we'll merge those two together. And so that usually gives the best of both worlds. We find out, we try to create some really great looking stuff, scare the devs to go, can we do this impossible thing? And then they come back and say, well, maybe not that impossible thing, but this other impossible thing might work, right? And then, of course, on top of all of this, we have to really make sure that when we get to night, we don't, bring the frame rate to its knees, because suddenly we have independent lights on, all of your buildings, right? And so there's just some technical work that we have to sort out on that. And then there's another piece of the equation which we haven't talked about, which is, I think someone was mentioning, all NFTs have glows. This is this is our own world that we're creating. We do have the option to put the code into juice the lighting on certain objects, or change the way that they show up in the game board independent of the time of day lighting scheme. And so one of the old tricks we did in the game a long time ago, Battle for Middle-earth, or an RTS game, is we took all the Gondor soldiers and we gave them an extra lighted glow, so they showed up as brighter on the battlefield compared to the orcs and stuff. So we have that option to do that too. We're just going to do this one step at a time, though. First, get the art in, get the time of day set, get the night scene crafted, and then we'll just kind of keep adding extra bits and parts to that. Anything else on art, Gina?
No, I'm happy to answer questions. But other than that, I just sit in my tiny corner of the world and play our game, and just think of ways that we can make this a better experience for everybody. So, and I'm usually in Discord on my computer most of the time. But yeah, anybody has any ideas, or I try to read as much as I can, and I'm a hardcore gamer as well, so I usually go into it going, oh, that'd be so cool, and then I have to go and convince Mark and the devs to let me get away with it.
So what's next on the agenda, guys?
I think, did we want to mention the Town Gala swap at all? I think that it is supposed to go live now next week. It's in QA currently. I don't know if there's any other information to share.
Yeah, no, there's not too much more information. So we were planning to go live this week, but we are still QAing the feature. We just want to make sure we get it right. It is in QA, so we're testing it out right now with our QA team. So that's coming next week. So far, we haven't found any major issues with it or whatnot, which is great. So expect that next week. Yeah.
We can move on to questions if we want. The first question I have is, what does the town point to Gala distribution ratio look like? For example, 1,000 town points will equal to how much Gala?
So, okay, so we've talked about this one a couple times. So, so we released a light paper, and we'll probably release another slightly updated one soon, just a little bit more information. But we released a light paper, and really what it says is the amount of distribution per town point is going to be based on spend. That spend will so that all that formulas is in the light paper, so you can go and take a look. But it's not too complicated. So the amount of spend in the ecosystem will determine how much Gala is generated for every town point each day. What's cool about that is as the game continues to gain popularity, as we continue to provide, get new players, more fun ways to play the game, it will naturally create more spend in the game, and there will, the town, the Gala per town point will reflect whatever is going on in the game at that period in time. So that's the way that works. Why is that important? What's really cool is that we learned from Townstar we need to create healthy economies, and if an economy is super inflationary, meaning we're creating a lot of currency, it can actually crash the economy. It can have a really negative, problematic impact on the game. So going forward, we want to be very careful not to do that, and continue to create a really healthy play to earn ecosystem. Probably
Awesome.
kind of
Hopefully that
boring.
helped whoever was
We should
asking.
yeah. So, sorry for the boring monologue.
I mean, it's pretty easy to figure it out if you read the light paper. All the information is there, all the formulas are there, all the explanations are there.
Yeah, and
Just check it out. If you do have any questions, just let us
and
know.
on that, I know a lot of people ask weekly when earnings starts, and so we've also talked about that one a couple times, which is that we're going to turn earning on when we're ready. There was, I want to say, a month and a half ago, we talked about, should we turn earning back on early? And the community pretty solidly was like, no, we want to make sure that when we turn it back on, it's in a good place. So we have some plans to get that going, which I will follow up with more. But the gist of it is that earning won't turn back on until we've released this game to the public, and that it's in a solid state, and that we've tested the distribution numbers, made sure that everything's working correctly, and then we'll turn it on. So just like with everything we do, we'll wait until it's ready, we'll test it, and then we'll turn it on. And so stay tuned for exactly when the full game is going to go live to everybody, a public playtest that's beyond just the allow list, and that will be a big step towards that. I love Dash's comment. Questions people have: exact date of Godot launch, exact date of PDE, exact amount they will earn, exact date they will be rich. Kind of funny comment, but really what it is we want to keep, we do these AMAs weekly. We want to keep you up to date on the progress being made, where things are at. So we will continue to give ideas, and once stuff is going to be coming, it won't be exact, but we'll continue to keep you all updated and along with us for the journey, because we think transparency is also really fun and important, and we want to make sure that we can continue to deliver awesome new stuff. So we saw that with the play test recently. We built a whole new game on Godot. There's a lot of fixes you'll see coming in relatively shortly, and then a lot of new features coming in much more quickly than we were able to do with the old version of Townstar. So pretty exciting.
I see someone, I forget who it was, I just responded, asked about the ETA for the public launch and saying it was supposed to be in February, and we are in playtest currently. We did say that we would be starting playtest in February, and it is February, and we are in playtests. So.
Yeah, with all these things, they're always targets. There's always this risk of announcing dates early, timeframes, and as a team, we really want to try to hold to those things as much as possible. So you'll see a lot of progress made still over the next couple of months. The team is sprinting. Our engineering team is awesome. So we will continue to do that and continue to push for getting earnings turned back on as quickly as possible too, because we've built the game that supports it. And I won't go into details and even the conversations I'm having today, but yes, the point is that there are going to be some slowness, minor hiccups, things we learn, changes that we make, things we get excited about that may impact things slightly. But the goal is trying to hold to these dates as much as possible, and definitely getting out a playtest in February was incredibly important to us. And getting out a public playtest that's not a allow list next is something that's really important to us. So it's cruising along at light speed, and we will have updates on that soon.
I see a lot of questions about May Mayhem. It's only the end of February, guys. So let's just pull it back on the May Mayhem for now. All right. Let us get the game finished and get it fully launched and make sure all the bugs are resolved. May is still very far away.
I still can't believe how far it is into February, though. I feel like I went to sleep one day and it was the end of January, and I woke up the next day and it was 3 weeks into February, and I'm worried that time is broken. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but it could be.
Zyron, I see you asked a question about competition models, and yeah, we've talked about that before also, that once we get everything set up and going, the plan is to have different lengths of competitions, different types of competitions, maybe multiple at the same time. That's all in the plans further down the road. For now, we're for sure sticking with the 5-day or whatever it is, 4 days on, 10 days off cadence that we've had, because it's working for our release schedule. And as we get further along, we'll let you know when that starts to change. Let's see, what is the next question that I have here? The next question I have is, when the bakery and cakery NFTs were removed from the Gala store, it was mentioned that they might come back at a later time, with a hint that cakes will play an important role for the next meta. Will these NFTs be made available for purchase again?
Yes.
I think we should skip that question. Just kidding, Mal. It's a very long-winded response. Thanks for the story time there.
No problem.
We're moving on to the next question then.
I've seen a lot of whens today. Whens are back.
If people will want more detail, then they'll get it soon. But that's just yes for now.
All right. Well, the next question that I have here is, for months now after an update, I've only been able to play Townstar in Firefox browser. I'm worried about the new game. Will I be able to continue playing? I have a weak PC. I feel like Volcron could probably answer that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say yes, you'll be able to continue playing. That's the short of it.
Chat right now, performance comparatively, at least on my laptop, which is not a min spec kind of laptop, performance for me is better in Godot than Townstar Live in terms of frame rate and responsiveness.
Yeah, and the
That's
reason
the
that
same
people,
case for me too.
yeah, we do want to get hard numbers on that, and of course to profile why certain, models might cost more performance versus others, but for sure the size, we've reduced the size that you actually have to download to play the game by quite a lot, 260 megs to 130 megs, which is why mobile browsers are able to handle it better now. And playing on older hardware, so far what we've seen is that it looks good, so yep.
Well,
So that
that's
sounds
really
like a yes, or
oh,
sounds like
sorry.
a tentative yes.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear on that. Yes, so far it has been more performant. And if our goal is to make it playable by as many people as possible. So if there are performance problems, we will fix them.
Awesome. That's all I have for questions. I don't know if anyone in the community has any questions they want to jump in chat. If not, we can move right on to leaks.
No leaks.
I guess we'll just skip leaks this week then.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
See.
What's the order of leaks? Do we have a flow going here?
You can go first if you want, or I can go first.
I don't know what you're leaking.
Oh man, did you not read my AMA document?
Oh my god.
Called out.
Very clearly didn't. Just panic scrolling now. You can go first.
All right, I can go first. I've got some images that I've still got to find, but I will share them. And I seen in that feedback form for the playtest, I went through and read all of the responses. Some of them were very nice, so thank you. A couple of you were very, very polite. Lots of kudos, which is very much appreciated. Some people did seem disappointed, but I think it's just because the there's no proximity pop up in there and the grid isn't in there yet. But all
Hey,
the stuff
speaking
is
of
coming.
grid, I
Mm.
think Musashi has something that
Yes.
to leak there. It's a little bit work in progress. If people want to see a leak of something work in progress, what do you guys think?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me see how to share. Over here, I don't know if Discord can handle it.
Drag and drop, man.
Yeah, I'm just old timey. Do you hear? Let's
There he
see.
is. Oh, that's an MKV file. Huh.
Oh yeah, sorry, my settings. You guys will have to download it, I guess. Sorry.
Let's see. Oof.
I'll see if I can download that and reshare it in a format that's easy to see later when I post it in the AMA feed channel. Let me get these ones that I'm going to share. So the other big concern people had during the playtest that they reported in the feedback form was mostly about the proximity pop-up, which isn't there yet because you can't click on tiles. There will continue to be no way to click on tiles in the new game because it's got that precision placement, and tiles are really tiny now, so it wouldn't be all that valuable information for you to be able to click on one tiny little tile. You're going to want to see what the proximity for whatever shape or size building you're trying to place will be versus seeing what's on each individual tile. So we've got some mock-ups of what that will look like. Should be posted in the chat soon. There we go. So that is, it's not in yet. It's still being fleshed out. But that is the plan for what the proximity pop-up should look like. It'll show when you are dragging an object around so that you know before you place it what the proximity on that tile has, which should be very helpful.
Yeah, I can give a little bit more detail there.
Yeah.
Thank you for posting that. Yeah, so now you know that you can't click on that tile. So, and we have precision placement. So we had smaller tiles too. So you can actually offset your building comparatively to what you could do before. So what you're gonna see here is that as you drag your building one or more tiles in any direction, that pop-up will update and it will show you the proximity effects for that particular area. So you can have no water and then you move one small tile to the right and now you have 3 water or something like that. So it should be very useful in more quickly finding the spots that are better for your buildings, and it's something that you couldn't do in Play Canvas. So yeah, really excited about that part. Hello.
Yeah, we can still hear you. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? If not, we'll move on to Mal's round of leaks. JJ Gem, I don't know about a quick buy button for NFTs, but we can definitely look into that for a feature request for the future.
Let's move on.
I think it's Mal's turn. Mal, you still here?
Yeah, just making sure there's no questions. All right then. You know, I was just thinking to myself, listening to everyone speak and thinking of the metas and stuff like that. As of course those links are coming, and you know, normally I would suggest that we all gather around the fire in the forest of no name, under the nice stars, and we'd all have a nice story. But I think to myself, maybe we should all take a trip to the idea corridor so we can discuss that. And what is the idea corridor? Well, it is a long, long, dark corridor with doors on both sides all the way down. And in behind those doors are ideas. Some good, some bad, some in between. And given that it is a very dark place, things often lurk in the dark. Those who go there tend to stay within the light, move very slowly, very carefully. That is because sometimes, you know, you open a door and out comes a demon to just wreak havoc while you're already in a dark corridor. That was well
Sorry, I
timed.
had to.
Very well timed. I was incredibly confused for a very second then. I thought like someone had fainted. But yeah, definitely shouldn't be that scary, but maybe it is. So, you know, people tend to move a bit slowly. They stay within the light. You know, they don't dare go into the shadowy, deep, dark reaches of the idea corridor. And some time ago, it occurred to me that that was not going to work and that I would simply go straight into that darkness and I would be my own light. And I would also personally flog any demon that I'd let out by opening doors. And once I started doing that, I realized that you need to label the doors good or bad. And not all doors are terrible. Some doors will play a trial. You know, they want tricks. You're there swinging your club in the dark, but all of a sudden you realize it was actually a good idea. And the door just wanted to test and see if you were worthy. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit brave. And I invite everyone, as always, to join me, but this time in the idea corridor. Because as a bigger group of people, the ideas are solved and figured out and labeled, which is the important part. Good or bad, we need to know. And together, there's more light and more force. And we could flog any demon twice as quick, extra efficient, and we can just traverse down the long, dark corridor safely, opening any door we wish. And we will label good or bad. And I think it's an important process to go into those places that might test and trial, because it serves a greater purpose, because others have to walk down and also check for labels that might not be there. But we have been there, so there will be labels, or the door will have no hinges, and there'll be a demon corpse on the floor that has been flogged senseless. And they will just automatically know this is a bad door and we can turn around and leave now. And I think it's important to remember this process as we go down the corridor, because it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, it's going to be somewhere in between, and it's not actually terrible and scary. And we can handle it because we'll deal with it as a massive unit shining brightly. Now, I was very, very happy this week. The chat was outstanding because it was a slightly controversial feature in one way, but was one of those that you had to go and maybe swing your club around and make sure there was nothing going to jump out. And I feel like we've all done that. We've gone in, and the amount of people who've enjoyed it has been great. There's been a lot of people, actually, who have enjoyed it. And I was actually shocked to see the amount of people who have come out and said, you know what, I didn't like it at first, but now I like it. Now I get it. Or now I've experienced it. It is enjoyable, or it's okay. Doesn't mean you think it's perfect, but it's okay, or it's not the, scary demon in the dark. They were just essentially swinging the club around blind until the light was turned on and it was all revealed to be okay. Now, what I do appreciate is how interesting it's been, because this was one of those, like, what are you going to do, Like, there was a lot of choices to be made. I'll give a shout out to Poison for making the effort of using no buffs, no loggers, no tractors, no nukes. So you spend no stars. And that is a good trial to see. Does it even make a difference if someone does that? There's someone who did go through all that effort and all the various things with that, because it's fun, and that's been the point of it. And I talk about the idea corridor because as we move to Godot, I no longer will be pulling all the madness strings and all the fun stuff that we do. That goes over to Masashi and Sage, who are going to share their vision. And they're going to show you their doors that they've labelled good. And you're, as I really hope, all going to be there to assist them in beating anything senseless that needs it. So they are safe. What does this mean? This means I can then go and run right down to the darkest parts, knowing that they are safe with you. A merciless army of club-wielding maniacs, keeping everyone safe. I can go and try and find some wonderful, wild, wacky features to keep trying to pitch, because this is fun. And this is I think, by trialing these things, we are now seeing that there are options. Doesn't mean they're perfect. There were some people who just didn't enjoy it. It's fair enough. Some people who found out halfway through because they don't really pay attention to what's going on. They just join in competition and then they learn. So, of course, their experience is going to be different. It's interesting. We've always wanted more clear in-game, information, and this is all part of what we'll have. And it's good to see the need for it. The other aspects, I found there was a lot of new players, in the sense of, like, there was a lot of I need mentality, which I found very interesting, because they're just not doing the meta and they've got no interest in doing the meta. And there was a lot of, like, I just want this rank, just give me this reward. Why should I have to play? Why do you expect me to play? And I found that a very interesting attitude. But, that kind of, like, I've never seen these people. These are, like, brand new names that are not wanting to do the meta and partake. And what it told me more than anything is there's this sense of I need. Like, they're not doing any buffs, they're not doing any crazy build, anything like that, but they feel like they need the logger. The logger was the big one. They just feel like they have to have it. So I'm not going to rank any better because of it, literally. But they don't understand that. They just know that is just the quicker unit. And it was an interesting psychological effect that I've seen at play there, which I think ties into other things, but it was interesting anyway. So one of my beliefs is if it just said 20 red steel versus being the price of them, then it would have just been a different mentality also. Again, that would have forced people to do the meta, as it does anyway, because by not doing it, which is what I think some of the issues were for those newer players, they had no intention of doing the meta, but wanted to essentially have all the good luxuries. So it's interesting. And how do you balance that? Well, I was thinking to myself, I believe I was in chat last night, maybe suggested it is, I feel like what we really need is a split in sort of two types of competitions. You've got the baby competition, let's just call it, in a sense of the rewards are just much smaller, the metas aren't intense, it's kind of chill, there's a longer time they run for to allow new people to sort of come in and experience the game, but not be sort of pit against everyone else and the demand, like every feature has to be like a handhold just in case the new guy demands he has a logger because he's been told it's faster than the lumberjack. And I think to myself, it's much better anyway, system-wise, to have those type of... I don't like divisions where it's just like so many leagues and stuff like that. I think that's a bit excessive, personally. I think it should just be, there's a competition with the main rewards, and then therefore, if you're in there, you're kind of like, they're the rules and that's what you're doing. But if you're new, and new players, when they come in, they need a place to go and feel like, hey, I'm actually winning. Look at me ranking up. A bit like, when you see a new guy come in and they don't realize they're on the play to earn server and they're absolutely screaming enjoyment in the chat because they're like rank 50 and they're like, I haven't even played this game for more than a day and I'm beating everyone. They absolutely love it. And that's a nice sort of, what did he call them? Paper fighters, where they'd make a fighter fight someone they would clearly win to give them that confidence. It's a bit like doing that. So we want to get them in the ring, make them feel like they're doing really well because they're actually having a chance against people around the same level. So that's been on my mind. I don't know what people think of that. But I will be sort of looking at that because I do think that's a very important role. Now, I know people just want me to just say the meta leaks. I'll get to that right now, but I just thought I'd cover that in terms of ideas, embracing them, dealing with them when, like if it's not perfect, it can be tweaked, which is the important aspect. And one of the things I've loved, as I said, is how many people actually enjoyed this and think can see the point of it. Now, there's a phase 2 and a phase 3. This was phase 1. Phase 2 takes the burden off phase 1 in the sense of the first burden was, do I spend the stars? Do I make them back overall? How many hours? Get it on the third day, second day. It added all the analytic goodness that we all like. Now, phase 2 just changes that because the last time I mentioned it, it came out horrifically wrong and I didn't explain it in stages and whatever else. But you've now seen phase 1. Stars. Okay, so phase 2, the portal. Nothing changes in the game. It's all Townstar as it is now, but there's a portal building. Go to the building and you just buy stars. No exchange rates, none of that stuff. We're just going to do the basic version first. So you just spend your extra cash. That's it. So you can work out how much cash you make an hour like you do to afford your buffs. This isn't going in next week, by the way. I just want to be clear, but I'm just discussing phase 2 so people who've been following the feature and playing along and trialing it understand the sort of point and where it's coming from. So you've essentially do the calculation of how much 10 loggers is going to get you more an hour, for example. But rather than have to just look at the exact rates that you get back, you can now factor in the cash that you make an hour as well, in the sense of going to buy back that million or however much over however many hours because of the amount of cash you're making. Now, that still adds in the factor of you need cash for your buffs. But then you'd also have the option to spend your cash for points. And there's that nice sort of feel going on then, because then when you're looking at like, I want people popping up with the I need. Well, in the sense of when people do feel like they want to be competitive and need the 18 loggers or whatever, well, then they don't just have to factor in how many more they're going to make an hour, an extra 20 red steel or whatever. It doesn't work in that sense because they can also spend the cash. So they can see how much they're going to get an hour for doing it and how much cash they can spend to actually get those stars back. So it just adds a sort of double layer, but takes the burden off and the amount of like, is it really like a massive, can you not have one at all because it just doesn't work? And now you can use your cash. So I hope people understand, and I'll leave it at phase 2, all right? So there'd just be like another building, like a research center. I've just called it a portal. I'm just being fun. Don't people just take things off wild speculation, just a building. You would go there and you would exchange cash for points. Okay? Very simple. Stars. We call them stars. I always call them points. It's stars. You would exchange for stars. So the next meta coming, I want to bring phase 2 in, but it won't be ready straight away. But you've all known it's been cakes. Dash asked me for precise and clear hints yesterday. So, of course, I went and got a word search generator up and put a bunch of vague hints into that. And people had a little bit of fun solving that puzzle. Doesn't take very long. So I done a more detailed version, and that was also funny because the way it generated it was appalling and made it so easy, but it was still funny. The fancy cake meta is going to be for March. We trialed Red Steel twice in February, but we changed the research center buffs and ingredients. And of course, we added a stars spending feature towards the end. But that's the meta itself essentially stays the same. Feel like doing something the same with March in a sense of it's going to be cakes. It's going to be fancy cakes, probably remain that for both of them. But we'll look at how that plays. Maybe it's ingredients that we do change. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's more focused around the research center, which I'd like. And I've actually, for once, prepared the list so I can read out the meta changes. And just to refresh what Michelle said at the start, I've tried to get them so they're done for Monday. They're in now and ready in testing, so they should be in for Monday. So I would just remind everyone the competition finishes Saturday. Get some rest Sunday, and then you can start practicing Monday. But everyone have a nice rest, you know. Some of you definitely need more sleep, as do I, but I'm going to let you anyway. So, the coming meta changes I hate reading these out. I always feel like it's just nice. So when Farmer Michelle puts a nice list out, so I'll just point out some sort of main things. So the cakes, batter is going to be one battering cakes, not free. Overall, I forget now off the top of my head, I think, was it like 14 or something sugar around that to make a fancy cake? Someone in the chat can scream at me and tell me it's awful or I don't know. I have to apologise. I had the number last night, but I've reduced that down anyway. Sugar is a massive bottleneck, and I appreciate that. And it's not supposed to be, you know, a windmill meta per se. So you'll notice that there's going to be overall decreases in sugar in some places. But I'll tell you the main one. From cakes, you need 6. Now it'll be 2, and there's some other parts as well. So batters had some flour decreased. There's less butter in batter, less salt in butter, and so on. But the fancy cake sell point to be 50,000, so you can start kind of looking now. I know you're all interested in hearing about the star cost. I've removed it from the nuclear power plant. I appreciate you don't need a nuclear power plant to this meta, so well, you can use one if you wish, but it's probably not going to be that essential. But, you know, there you go. No longer costs stars. The research center remains the same cost. No change there. The loggers and tractors and ATVs, yes, ATVs have now been included. They were 1 million. In this one, they're going to be 500k stars. Okay, so they've been halved and the ATV's been added. The buffs have been changed. I think most of those hints went out yesterday, but for those who don't know yet, it'll be a windmill, farm tractor, and cow speed. So that'll be 3 speeds, 25%, cow speed, tractor speed, windmill speed. No, tractors don't apply to normal farmers. The cost of those will be $50 million in-game, of course. Otherwise, it'd be ludicrous. The costs of those, the windmill will cost you 30 chocolate-covered strawberries. The farm tractor will cost you 30 honeycomb. The cow will cost you 15 dough. The global speed, obviously now, is the 75% that applies to farmers, windmill, and cows, and then 25% has now been increased to 50%. So it was 25% for other units. Now it's 50% for other units if you get the global. So it got nice and beefy. The cost of that'll be $250 million in-game, of course. And it'll be 100 honey and 25 Chardonnay wine. That is the complete wine, not the grapes. So that's 100 honey and 25 Chardonnay, the complete wine. So that'll be the global buff. The main details will be posted by Farmer Michelle rather than me just spiel off a bunch of very specifics. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be in Monday. And remember to rest on Sunday. I'm not sure if I add any more leaks, and I think it's just maybe straight to the sale, I believe, unless someone can tell me otherwise.
Nope. I think you're good.
Okay, so first of all, I know what a lot of people are expecting, and it is next week, but it ain't Monday. So let me just load it so I'm not stumbling and stuttering around in a second. So there was a lot of course, hints, and it's because I always get dates wrong. But next week, I will inform you there will be 2 sales, as I understand the calendar right. One of them is one that is sort of the, I think people know in this sort of just the cooler aspect. Well, they're both cool, of course. This one's going to be cool now, I think, anyway. But like, they're just different types, and Willow's probably going to pass out because I'm sure he knows. But it's next week anyway. And I'll talk about this one now, of course. But rather than everyone be confused and question marks and whatever else because people talk, that is still next week. But I'm just not going to say what it is. If you know what it is, you can spam it in the chat if you wish. But anyway, this sale coming Monday. So the diamond utility was something we introduced, and people, of course, have some various sentiment from around then. So we went away. Well, I went away, and the team, of course, had a big discussion. And then I kind of adapted to what we all feel is best, which I think is the important part of the team, really, is that we can have so many opinions on how we can try and keep what we intended, in the sense of we still like to have the sort of special utility and the nice, cool theme, but we don't want to cause that sort of like, I don't know. I don't even want to put a label on it, but I'm sure people understand. It didn't. The store bugs were annoying. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, enough for the speech. I'd like to introduce the Diamond Warehouse, because I had to go back into the mines, my mines, alone, and go and pull out more diamonds, because I didn't really want to just it be so just. I wanted more love for them, It's just a nice feature, and I think we can do a lot with the diamond sense. So I was in the core, almost burning my little feet off, trying to yank these diamonds out, and I slapped them on the roof. 4 glowing ones. I found special ones while I was in those mines, and I thought we will put these nice special diamonds on the roof of this very nice diamond textured warehouse, which is very nice, by the way. Nice gradient look on it. I absolutely love it. It has a nice glowy pulse on the diamonds. What does it do? Well, it doubles all warehouse capacity. Yes, that includes the big warehouse also. And if there was another type of warehouse in the game, if that should just happen to appear at some point in the future, why would we ever worry? Who knows? But keep an eye out anyway. It would double, because it's diamond utility, and it will double itself. So it is as usual with the diamonds. They are just in-game versions, but they have been diamond. I don't know what a good word is. Diamified, maybe not. I'll think of a better one. But they've been given the diamond utility, and it'll give 40 when you place it, and it gives no shade, which is nice, because warehouses do have shade, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. So you won't have to deal with shade with your diamond warehouse. And then all warehouses capacity doubles. So that's 40 for the in-game, and of course 120 for the big warehouse. And if conveniently there just happen to be a different type of warehouse show up at some point at any unknown moment, then you would also have that capacity doubled. So the sales information, which I do have actually loaded for once, is $300. And rather than go for 100 of them, we have gone for 200. So there's double the amount than we did with the pumps, because some of the feedback was that it was just a little bit too limited. All right, and okay, a little bit too limited, so we doubled that amount. There'll be 1 per transaction. This is something we know also from the feedback, that this is very important to the community, especially when there's this kind of aspect going on, and we agree as a team because we definitely want to take as much feedback as we can in creating the best experience for you. Sage has been working so hard on the store upgrades, so that's a smooth experience. So hopefully we can have a nice round this time, because I went and dug real deep, get those real nice diamonds. There is Gala, Town, and credit card options. It'll be 11 a.m. PST. It is one transaction, $300, 200 store supply. It does not hold storehouse items dash. It's a warehouse. I think that is all the information. I don't know if we're going to speak about. I feel like if Top Boy Tells doesn't message, I won't say nothing. I'm not sure if we're going to do the double sales or if that'll just be in a post next week and we'll talk about it then. But anyway, till I'm told otherwise, I will assume that I am done now. Thank you for listening, everyone.
I think some of the other people on our call had to leave to go to a meeting. Does anyone else have any questions before we just call it a day? Yes, Cora, there will be a leaderboard on Godot. I think we talked about it a couple of AMAs ago, and we're discussing different rates at which to fast forward towns while they're offline. So it won't be live like the current one is, unless people do have their towns open, then their scores will be updating live. But if somebody has their town closed and it's running offline, it won't update automatically until they log back in. Yes, Dash, I'll post the meta information. I tried to write it down real fast while Mal was chatting away, but I definitely missed some stuff, so I'm gonna have to verify with him before I make a post, but I will.
Put it all in a nice ticket. I can send a nice screenshot in the next 5 minutes, so you'll have the exact information for everyone.
Redwood, we talked about the Town Gala swap earlier in the AMA. It's in QA right now. We're definitely expecting it to be live next week. It'll be right on the Gala website, right in the store. Nice and simple. Anyone else have any other questions before we jump off? Everybody just wants to know what the second sale is going to be.
Yeah. It's
No, Corey, you don't need to be online at the end of the competitions. All the towns will fast forward at the end of the competition. No, Gloom, I just said the answer to your question already.
You know, if Willow fought hard enough, he would definitely know the answer. So everyone just remind Willow to just pay more attention to the things he says. Because I'm sure he literally said something and I replied such a strong hint. So, Willow, you know the answer, mate.
Tantrum, there'll be a full announcement about it in a minute. All right, I think we're probably good. LB Postman swap will be on the Gala website, so you'll do it with your Gala wallet on the Gala website, just like you would be clicking on the big warehouse to buy it. It'll be just like that, but with a swap.
Funny to see people's speculation. It's funny because we were discussing a certain something of how many would be needed. And I said, well, maybe if you just wait till next week, maybe not. I'm not saying any more. And I'm going to go now because I definitely I've probably got so many messages to attend, so I'm going to thank everyone for coming. And as usual, questions if you need in the chat, and I'll try and reply when I can.
Have a good weekend, guys.